Hello and welcome. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is the Kyle Hartman Project. This is my very first episode. There's a lot that I felt like I wanted to cover. There's a lot that's been changing rapidly over the last few days as well. All good things, of course. And so one of the big things that I wanted to just kind of lay out there for anybody that has more questions after this episode is just to stay patient with me. I'll be putting an episode out weekly, whether it's me, it's going to probably turn into mostly just me with other people. That's the goal. I have a lot of plans that just keep evolving. I started on this mission, if you will, about a year and a half ago. I really became fascinated with developing an app. And one thing led to another, and that is in the process now. A really good friend of mine from Cincinnati, myself, and some other great people are putting together an app that's going to be a pretty cool thing, I think. So one thing that led me to the podcast, the Kyle Hartman Project, was the fact that we decided that I was going to be pretty much pushing out all the content for the app once the app is developed. And so we started to kind of snowball and whiteboard some ideas within the company of how that might be done. And I kind of took it upon myself to figure out a way that was going to be as big as I can make it within the time that this, that this app is going to be built. And so I wanted to start kind of branding myself. And I know that sounds completely crazy for a lot of you probably. It sounds completely selfish for a lot of you probably. But for me, it makes complete sense, and here's why. For starters, I don't know the whole answer yet, so just know that. But for now, what I do know is I want to brand myself, but I wanted to do it wholeheartedly and as helpful to as many other people along the way as possible. I think that's what my brand is going to evolve into is literally just a service to others, no matter what the case may be. And the way that I'm going to do that is I have plans to, obviously I have the podcast, but then I also have Hartman Media, which is going to kind of correlate with the podcast. So what I'm doing right now is getting with anybody that is trying to just start a company, a brand, anybody that is trying to live on a passion, something like that. Anybody that just has that grit that they are working their butts off for something, or they have been, or they have already, and now they're, retiring, whatever the case may be. So I am surrounding myself with those types of people by doing this podcast on a weekly basis. But one other big point, one big part of my manifesto is that I firmly believe that audio content is where all business marketing is generally headed. I think that time is of the essence more than ever right now for everybody. And I think that audio is becoming more and more popular. So that is why the podcast is there. I want to have something that validates that. So if I do a podcast starting now for 10 years, and I'm right, then I have valid proof and I can actually really brand myself that way. And so that's where it all kind of goes. It's there's a lot of detail that goes into every part of that, but we'll get to that over the course of this show. So stay tuned. I want to keep this first episode as simple as possible. There's a lot of people I want to talk about, but we will eventually have episodes for those people. And so for this episode, what I'm going to do is just kind of introduce the first couple of people that really jumped onto this podcast idea. And now that they just showed me, they've proven that this project is going to work based on the fact that now we actually have plans set in place to meet up, to market their businesses or whatever their message is, to promote the awareness that they want to promote the awareness that I want to promote. We want to show the world that there are people out there that, really want good for everybody and really want to change this place to make it better for everybody. So that's what I'm doing. I'm on a mission to find those people because honestly, doing this has made me such a happier person within myself just because of the people I'm talking to on a regular basis now. And so first up on the chopping block, I will be making my way home next weekend to record with Tyler Duff. He and I go way back, all the way to high school. We were in student council together. He has always been one of the nicest kids. Well, he's a man now. He is he's training for a triathlon. He has a really, really, really neat story to put out there for you guys. He's very, very pumped about the podcast. He can't wait. I'm excited. Think we're gonna squeeze a little workout in before we record. But he's going to be my third episode. I'm going to get another episode in before that, so we will touch a little more on what him and I are going to talk about. So after that, the next weekend I will be going to LA. We have a pretty sizable event going on there. Hartman Media has teamed up with a number of companies, actually. They're all veteran owned and operated. And so where we started was Ronnie Jackson and Jeffrey Jones, who are both two of my Army battle buddies. We all met in Fort Lee, Virginia some time ago, and since then we've all been able to come back around somehow. Ronnie's in Atlanta, Jeff is in Chicago, now I'm in California, and we are all meeting up in September, the first weekend in September. And what we're going to be doing, Ronnie had started a couple companies. He started IME Fitness, which IME stands for Increased Motivation Every Day. And his Instagram page for the fitness page was one of the things that actually inspired me over the last year to really, get up and start moving and working towards my dreams. And so I thought that was really cool that, when I reached out to Ronnie about how he helped me, he was just totally on board with the whole vision that I had because he had seen the same thing at one point. And so he has another company, Jawway Security. They are a really neat private security, veteran owned and operated once again. So what these guys are doing is really pushing Jawway to expand its horizons. They have two markets, one in Atlanta, one in Chicago. They're landing some pretty high-end contracts. We're going to touch more on that as well with Jeffrey Jones, who runs the Chicago end of it. And they might look to actually expand, so we're going to talk a lot more about that. So as you can see, we are already in a very diverse setting of guests on the show, and that's exactly what I wanted. I love that I'm tapping into the fitness world. That's pushing me to get out and start running again, start working out a little bit, because a lot of the times I'm going to be working out with a lot of these people because that's part of their routine. And that's what I want to show everybody else out there is, just, you got to start living. And I want to show you that there's people that are doing it and they're out here willing to help talk about how to get started. And that's the key. It's just to get started. Once you start, I can assure you, everything else that you're afraid of will end up just carrying itself. You just have to have the confidence in yourself that you're going to stick to whatever it is and then go for it. And that's really all I want to touch on with that. Coffee break. Okay. So I know I said that this would be out on Monday morning. A little bit of hiccup, I guess, late last night. We had a 2-hour conference call I had a call with Ronnie and Jeffrey. We were squaring everything away for September 1st. We will be in LA for the weekend where we're going to be recording a number of sessions for the podcast. And then we have a lot of actually pretty good talks that we've planned we're going to have to start a couple other things. One of the things that we are really going to hit on is a network that is going to be really revolving around the veteran world, the veteran community. We think it's going to be called the Veteran Connection. And it just kind of goes back to saying how Jeff, Ronnie, and I, we all come from just completely different backgrounds and different lifestyles. We've all had different stories. but we're all going to be right there at a round table building different businesses and helping other people together. And we kind of want to have something that's specific for veterans because, that's a subject that really goes deep for us. It is to help, as many veterans as we can. So we're going to brainstorm some ideas on the weekend that they get up here. We actually have a really, really awesome lady coming out here as well, Betty Jones. That's Jeffrey's mother, actually, and she is a veteran herself. She has clients that are veterans from all over the country that she represents. She is one of the nation's top legal representatives and disability benefit representatives as well. And so just in like 5 minutes on the phone with her, she makes things happen quicker than I can blink, really, because she's funding part of the trip. She's promoting what she does. Her website is going to be put out on content, things like that. She's partnering up with the Veteran Connection. She is lining up investors for our future endeavors. And not only that, but she told me so many things about what I can do for my benefits that I didn't even know existed. And I actually paid attention when I was getting out. So she kind of blew my mind in a minute. And so I had to turn her down. I said, Betty, I'm really relaxed. You don't have to impress me. You already impressed me by wanting to be here. That's all we're about. It's just getting everybody together that wants to just move forward. And one really big thing that really helped me to kind of start being more patient and realizing that things that are going to be big are going to take serious amounts of work and time was one of the people that I follow really, really closely that's helped me along the way, just in motivation and learning how to just start and not be afraid of tackling my dreams. He is 42 years old and was like, okay, think about being 21, which for me, that was easy. This just put it into perspective for me. It doesn't necessarily have to be how old you are right now. So he was like, okay, I'm 42 years old, so say you're 21 years old. And I was like, okay, I'm 21, and I remembered when I was 21. And he was like, now, you have a whole nother lifetime to live before you get to where I'm at. And I don't know if that sticks out as far for you as it did for me. But for me, I thought back to, okay, growing up, being a kid, all those years in elementary school, all the years as a teenager, the years as, not really an adult, but thinking you're an adult and really stressing. And that's the time in my life where I failed the most, I think. So I was really down about, being mid-20s and seeing everybody doing their thing, getting out of college. And that's hard for somebody who doesn't, succeed right away after high school. And I'll take full credit. I failed at a lot of things. So, and I'm not ashamed of it. But one thing that really helped me was the fact that he kind of opened my eyes that okay, I got a whole nother start. Everybody always says, oh, if I could go back, I would. If I could go back, I would. If you really think about it, you're born right now, just double your lifetime. This dude is now a billionaire. And he says he feels younger than he's ever felt before. And you know what? I'm going to try to take his word for it. He's also very big into audio as well. But he predicted Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter. He called all these billion-dollar companies out, 20 years ago. So I can't help but just listen and hope that he's right. So I am at work. I know this was run very, very short, but that's okay because I'm going to have a second episode where I'm going to fill you guys in more. I am hands-free. I have a microphone on my shirt, and my phone is on a stand. So I hope you all have a wonderful week. If you listen to this episode, thank you so much for tuning in. I am going to try to figure out easier ways for you guys to access this. I'm looking into getting my podcasts up on an app of some sort. I'm looking into SoundCloud, things like that. So stay tuned. We have some very, very big things coming. They're going to take some time to develop because we all want them to be tip top. And if you guys have any suggestions, any comments, anything to add, or any questions, questions are huge. A lot of people have been asking me kind of what my niche is, and really it's just anybody with like an entrepreneurial mindset who is in the moment right now that wants to go build something or just wants to promote one another, you know, on a low level. And that's all I'm really trying to do. It's really already gotten a hit on Instagram. There's people that I've reached out to from all over. And it's a good feeling to start surrounding yourself with the people that will push you to reach higher levels and to break out of your comfort zones. So I really hope that you all can kind of think about moving forward. Think about one thing that Tyler Duff really built into my head was he always says, be in constant pursuit of progress, not perfection. And that to me is exactly what I want to do with this podcast. It's what I want to display so you guys can see, okay, this guy's an idiot right now. He looks like a jackass. This podcast is terrible quality. He has no idea what he's doing. But then over time, you know, in a year, 2 years, 3 years, you can be like, oh, wow, like this is kind of legit, you know. And then one day Hartman Media is going to have people that will just follow me with a camera, audio, microphones, and then be able to put out content, and you know, I'll be able to move on to bigger and better things. So I hope that, you know, somebody out there in the world can just stick with me long enough to get it, that way that, you know, one day I can help them with starting whatever endeavor they want to go after. All right, I am done. I hope you all enjoyed this. Let me know what you think. Stay positive. Keep a smile on your face. Try not to focus on any of this negative stuff going on in the world. We want to show you guys that we have people out here who are really not worried about all the conflict, all the problems, because they don't see it that way. There's people out here that just love wholeheartedly still. We're out here, I promise. All right, I love you guys. Stay tuned next week.